Hey guys, new video here. It's a quick update on what's going on with the bike. I did have that issue with the cell. I don't think the BMS was working, so one of the cells fell below 3 volts. And actually, I guess the BMS did work in that case because it cut off that cell, the voltage for that cell, which was good. Two of the cells were actually at 3 volts, which is not good. Um, So that was pretty bad, and what I did to bring them back up was pretty stupid to use a USB phone charger and just got the positive and negative and just hooked it up, got it above close to the other cells, and then just try to equalize all of them as much as I could. So basically, what I was doing was I was just manually balancing the cells within like 0.05 volts of each other, which is okay, not ideal. Obviously, with like a BMS, you get it a lot closer. But at this point, I just don't trust the BMS, so I took off the BMS. And everything here is wired together. There's no BMS whatsoever. There's even no balance wires. Um, and this is just not. This is just temporary for now. I also encapsulated the pack in foam poster board, so it's foam poster board all the way around and protecting it. So I had another cell start leaking, and I think the reason why was that I was using the holder from the actual from the purchase, but that holder doesn't really work when on a like a vibrations environment such as on an e-bike. I think the way I saw it was done before was it was okay if it was for just like a power wall, like something that's static. In this case, there's constantly vibrations going on, bumps and jars, some of them pretty bad. So I think what happened with the second cell that went bad was that it actually tore uh, um, like a hole into one of the cells, and nothing bad came out of it. Obviously it was just leaking fluid, so I just retired that cell as well. So now I have no more cells, spare cells, and the thing is that it's actually getting close to the end of the season. I probably have about 2, 3 more weeks of riding, comfortable riding. I could ride after that, I guess, but you know, also since I redid all the installation, that means I need to do a new mount for the batteries. And right now, it's just literally being held together by tape and some ratchet straps and some bungee cords. So not ideal. Again, obviously just near the end of the season. I just need to get something going so I can just do some riding. Um, I think the what I learned from this experience with the cells is that okay. So also for the BMS thing, well, I purchased two low voltage pack checkers. So you basically wired the hopefully I can use the BMS leads from my BMS into the cell checker, and it will have a low voltage cutoff or a low voltage warning, and also give you the voltages for each cell, so I can monitor the system a little bit better. And what I'm hoping to do is with that is just I'm just gonna manually balance the cells, manually, you know, hopefully once it's charged I'll just disconnect it and then just manually balance everything. That's the kind of the goal at this point. If not, I can put my BMS back on if I feel comfortable trying to use it again. And the thing with the BMS is that maybe the reason maybe it went wrong is that I went a long time without a charge because I didn't have the charger, and I don't know though. You would think that I thought the BMS charges and it balances when it's discharging and it balances when it's charging. That was my impressions of most BMSs. Maybe I just didn't give it enough time to balance. I don't know. This is really strange. Why the cells were so far off like that. Um, and part of that was my fault too, because I think what happened is that the cells I let the cells get a little bit too low, So I was like in the 40%, 35% range in terms of power, but I thought that I still had enough power there to make it through. But one of the things is that as you get closer to the lower end of the state of charge curve, or the voltage level, the discharge curve becomes steeper and steeper. So unfortunately, I got to that point where it was too steep, and I think two of the cells just catastrophically dropped in voltage. But again, I was able to bring them back. I don't know what the state of the cells there are. Now, this is the first really long run since I got the cells back, and a couple things are wrong with this is that first, it's the packs are actually rotating around the axis. As you can see here, it's leaning a little bit too much to the left instead of dead center. So that's a problem I need to address. Just need to tighten everything up too. It does feel a lot peppier about the BMS, possibly because my voltage is a little bit higher now, since I have the right charger. And the other thing about what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to make sure that I don't fall. So the nominal voltage is 50 volts on this. So I'm going to make sure I'm between 54 and 50 volts, possibly at all times. So I'm going to charge the bike to around 52 volts to 54 volts, depending on the situation. So probably like a daily or an average weekly run, I can just keep it at 52 volts, which is obviously like 60% or 65% state of charge. Yeah, something like that. And I can double check that. Let's see what exactly is that. Um, yeah, it's around 60%, 65, 60, around 62%. So around 60%. So I'll keep it around like 52, 53 volts at all time. So what that will let me do is that as I ride the bike, the voltage should never really drop below 50 volts, even when I'm drawing a lot of power. And that's kind of the point here, is that I don't want to get to the point where it's like 48 volts and possibly getting into that 35% range where that curve is pretty steep. Um, yeah, so that's the update. Yeah, I'm not really, I didn't really do this well. So I think one of the things I'm going to do is that once I get the battery situation figured out, like how to balance those cells and charge the cells correctly, especially balancing the cells, um, do I just kind of, do I try the BMS route again? Or do I, even when I'm using the BMS, okay, one of the problems with the BMS is that I didn't know what the voltage of each cell was. If I knew that it was so low like that, or so different like that, I'll probably stop using the bike. So now that I have the cell checker, I can always check. Well, actually, no, I can't do that because I'll need two leads. Now, maybe I'll just buy another lead. Here I'm slowing down. I'm not sure why I'm slowing down. Oh yeah, like the kickstand's a little bit weird there. I'm also slowing down at these bumpy roads here, because I don't want to jar the bike a little bit too much, especially since I just rebuilt it with the battery pack and new mounting for the battery. Yeah, I'm constantly adjusting the battery to make sure it shifts back. I'll fix that. That's not that big of a deal to fix. Um, so this is riding. It's really a nice day. Next week is going to be back in the 50s or 60s. So it's like 70s today, which is great. Probably go for a manual bike ride later. Um, we'll see. This weekend I might, depending on what's going on, I might go for a longer e-bike ride, uh, and just to test it out. But yeah, anyway, back to the BMS. I probably, now that I think of it, I'm probably gonna try to buy like a manual balancer and just have that balance. The problem is that most manual balancers are 6S, and this is a 7S. So I need to find one that's a 7S. Um, and this is going to have it manually balanced, and then also have the cell checker at all times, so I can figure out what um, the cell voltages are. And yeah, once I figure that out, what I'm going to do is, and I don't think I need a BMS, and it was mentioned to me before, because these cells are so big that you don't really need a BMS for it, which I agree. So yeah, and also I need to turn down the throttle settings too, because when I went 62 to 52, I turned up the throttle settings by like, up to 25% from like 5%. Yeah, it's a little bit too much. Probably need to be better at like 15%. But anyway, once I get the battery situation figured out, I'm going to do the battery pack correctly. It needs to be in a wood enclosure. It needs to be built properly for this type of cell. So it needs to have, it needs to stop the tabs. It needs to have enough space for the tabs to move around, not get crunched up. Obviously, that's bad. Um, and also, it needs to not move in this enclosure, which is kind of doing now. Uh, so I'll do that once I figure out the battery situation, and maybe it's a project for over the winter. Anyway, that's the update. Back riding for now. We'll see.